All right, whatever. Anyway, shall begin with the news. So, this is news. What are we talking about? Well, today we're going to do something that's kind of dumb. Don't really know where we're going with this. If it's a complete tragedy, well, it's got to happen at some point. So we're going to go and check through the best country to be black and the best country to be white. We're gonna figure it out, boys.
Oh, good.
Cutting research, yeah?
Yeah. This is no longer a news program. This is a research program. Real time, hopefully, if this isn't a complete catastrophe. Anyway, but let's begin with promoting something on the website. As you can see here, this is the book club we did about the Cultural Revolution. And the reason I bring this up is not for no reason, which is, first and foremost, I think the best country to be black is clearly China, as we can see from this brother Hao over here, who is telling us about how there would be no China without the Communist Party. Very real, I'm sure. Anyway, the whole thing that sparked why I'm doing this, and potentially getting us all shot, is that Kemi Badenoch said a thing. She's at that conference where there's no power, so no one cares.
Yeah.
That like government thing. That
Lots of lobbyists, no real power.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Lots of empty seats as well.
because there's no real power.
Yeah.
This is a point Dan made excellently. I hadn't thought before, but the reason no one cares about Conservative Party conference ever is because there's no power there.
Decisions aren't made at Conservative Party conference, or even the people in the room. It's made above national politicians.
But there are speeches. So
Yes.
Kemi Badenoch came out and gave a speech where she says here, as Mr. Pestino tells us, I tell my children this is the best country in the world to be black because people see people, not labels. Pretty stock standard sort of rhetoric you get in this sphere.
And it might well be true, actually.
Yeah.
Might well be true, that statement.
Not a bad thing. I think that's pretty good. People can be seen for themselves. He does go on to say something a bit weird, this guy, which some will see as a statement that multiculturalism has been a triumph, not a failure, asserted by Suella Braverman. But it doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
The word multiculturalism obviously being multi-cultures, not
Well, I was going to
race.
say, yeah, it's sort of, I don't know, it's a little bit sort of race essentialist almost, suggesting that culture and race are one and the same.
You can only be a certain country for a certain race.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. I work for ITV. But anyway, it's just...
But that's basically a caste system, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I don't know if he's got an Indian wife, but we'll find out.
Yes.
But I love that. It's just like a local man doesn't even know his own words that he uses. I mean, like replacing a whole neighborhood of one culture with many cultures. That's what multiculturalism is.
Yes.
We take a place that's got one culture and then we replace it with loads of others that are all different and they're all side by side. Not there's a black person. That's different things. But whatever. I thought I'd just check in real quick because, I mean, even if this segment's a mess, can't be any worse than this guy. And this dude gets paid a lot. I mean, this is just him talking about his new payment. He used to work for BBC, now works for ITV. And I believe he says in here, somewhere in one of these Blocko texts, where he mentions that he got paid, 300 grand
Must be nice.
to do his job now? £346,666. Don't know why, 666.
Yeah, he probably insisted on that bit.
Yeah, who in the right mind is like, yeah, I'm desperate for that, whatever.
Yes.
Anyway, but there's some speculation here they're talking about, and so we'll guess he's on 200k at the BBC, 300k now, and doesn't even know what multiculturalism is. Bro, great. Anyway, earns his wage with such insights. Anyway, but this statement from Kemi sort of blew up and became an instant debate on normie radio here, which was a complete waste of time because it's normie radio, as you can see. She's talking about how she's wrong. Why is she wrong that Britain is one of the best places to be black? Because she's black. Not the best argument I've ever heard.
This just reads like that thing that came out about Calvin Robinson the other day. You see that? I'm not going to repeat what title his award is.
The black lawyers.
Yeah, that one.
I think you might need to hint to it at least because people might not have seen it.
I didn't see that one.
He was awarded a certain accolade of being something of the year by people who think that
basically called him
because he's not white, he's not allowed to.
Oh, they didn't start with the letter N, did it? That
did.
Oh dear,
So-
that's not good.
That's how you know the good guys.
Yeah.
All right, but so this sparked this pointless debate. I mean, this one here, I'm not kidding as well. Like this caller just calls up and insists that because of critical race theory, I'm not gonna do the audio 'cause it's cancer, but he just says because of critical race theory, she's playing the white man. So the reason she's wrong is because she's black, which it's just not an argument. But
It's just like this. Whenever this sort of thing comes around, because it always seems to come around every couple of weeks or months. It's just crazy because it's like, okay, let's assume for the sake of argument that the UK is the best country to be black in.
Yeah.
Why do these people think that's a bad thing, or that's like instinctively that's wrong? They have to.
Yeah.
They just have to instinctively.
And I'm just kind
Has
of
to
mulling it
yourself.
over in my
Yeah.
mind. I mean, it probably is, isn't it? I mean,
surely it's got to be up there. I mean, that's one of the best countries in the world, full stop. So,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, that's
yes.
Come on.
I got
Well,
even in the midst of everything that's happening, it still is.
Anyway, I got some thoughts about racism. So, I mean, data.
Yeah.
Saved it. Anyway, this is a bunch of data, so I thought we'd go and check out the question of where is it best to be black and white. Now, this is a bit broad. This isn't necessarily about being black or white, this particular one. This is from the Washington Post, where some place did some research, and here's the map.
a fascinating map of the most and least racially tolerant countries.
Yes. So red, not very tolerant. Of,
So what? So India is the least racially tolerant place on earth.
So the way this was done is they interviewed people from various countries and asked them the question of, well, who would you not like as a neighbor?
I remember seeing this.
Right.
And 40+% of Indians said someone of a different race. The French, it was about 30%, said not someone of a different race. And for the British, Americans, South Americans.
What do Indians count as another race? Do they count people from Pakistan as a different? Does that trigger it, or?
I mean, again, before we even get into this,
Yes.
the world's massive.
Yeah.
Like, nobody knows everything about it. So we're going to be hugely ignorant. And so the comments from people in various countries correcting us or helping us learn things are much appreciated going forwards.
Yes.
But let's begin with my limited knowledge of the world and trying to put it on here. I'm going to imagine the Indians also consider like people of a different caste as something unusual. I suppose if you ask them about race, I don't know.
Whether that was foremost in their mind when they answered this particular question, I don't know.
Either way, I do love that you've got all of Western Europe just being like, yeah, it's fine, I don't care. And then France is like, no, not on my watch. It's like, okay, all right, brother. But anyway, bit of a global perspective, which is obviously pointed out usually, which is there's the West and then everyone else, who is very different.
And actually, you say Western Europe is pro it. I mean, the UK is a glowing beacon of diversity tolerance compared to
Sweden,
even Germany.
Yeah, of course.
I say even Germany. I mean, I know they have history on this, but I mean, they
I don't know if you guys are history buffs or not, but in the middle of the 20th century.
Yes, more lately they've bigged up the whole diversity thing. Obviously, Sweden is Swedening, and then North America is well, I mean they've got blackface Trudeau over there, haven't they? So
South America very tolerant. That's kind of interesting.
Do you know about a mixed area anyway?
Yeah.
Do you know about the forced race mixing in Bolivia?
Yes, that was who was that? The Portuguese or the Spanish? Or?
It's I forget which dictator was in charge, but he decided that to solve the racial problems. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's Bolivia. Where he decided that okay, we've got the Indians and we've got us, the European Spaniards, and there's not enough mixing, and therefore there's lots of conflict.
Everyone is going to be assigned the little native mistress.
Literally, he made marrying someone of your own race illegal, so you had to marry someone of a different race, and there's only two to pick from. So every Spanish man had to marry an Indian lady, and every Indian man had to marry a white Spaniard. And this lasted for like 10 years, and it was enough.
To be fair, that does put it in perspective, doesn't it? Because we often criticise the Conservative parties for betraying us at every possible opportunity. They haven't gone that far yet.
Yet. Anyway,
not progressive enough.
That's an old map. This is the more modern one I just managed to find online. Same question asked, and then a bit more detailed as well. More countries filled in there. So there you have it. Czechoslovakia seems to have, in the modern age, gotten a bit more upsetty spaghetti about such things. And as you can see, the Middle East, the Islamic world, doing its thing. Already.
Turkey says no, and what is that? Is that Vietnam?
Yeah. Apparently France has come around. Whatever. Anyway, that's one version of the data.
Okay.
There was an EU questionnaire a while back that was quite funny as well. So this here is just some link showing it. And it's various, like, would you be okay if your daughter married an X? And then X is filled in with, various different types of people, Jewish, Muslims, Asians, black people, and there's various results.
I've got to say, as a dad of two daughters, the correct answer is would you be comfortable if your daughter married? At that point, you should just stop and say, no, I'm suspicious of absolutely bloody all of them under all circumstances. I'm not just talking about races. I'm just talking about
a Catholic.
No, just men in general. I mean, you
just don't want your daughter marrying you. That kind of
well, I mean, I do, but he's going to have to jump a very high bar for me to be happy.
Standards.
Yes.
I do find particularly funny. I mean, no matter what you ask, I mean, apparently Slovakia is on your team there, but they're just like, my daughter doesn't marry anyone. That's what's going on there. Anyway, but you can go check that out in your own time. And there's the argument, again, I'll bring it up here. I mean, specifically, we're looking at black people today. But, I mean, you can make it with any group. I mean, as I've seen here, like the UK being most accepting of such things.
We are wonderfully, wonderfully tolerant here, aren't we?
That is the data on that.
Yes.
So, and also, there's some other perks about being black in the UK or in the various black movements. I mean, we've gone over this, but Black Lives Matter in the UK, comical on the face of it before you even get into a debate.
Yeah.
Because it's like, not America. So it's stupid.
Yes.
Right? I mean, if you want to take American racial politics, they're dumb in America.
Yes.
Like, they make no sense and just make a mockery of the American system and are just based on lies. And then when you get to England, it's like, well, this has gone through so many layers of translation. This has nothing to do with us in any way.
Yeah.
But okay.
But you still get that phenomenon where people who are arrested, they still start chanting, "I can't breathe."
Yeah, or, you're able to steal lots of money on basis of race politics.
To be fair, that was actually valid last week when it was that Pakistani shopkeeper actually strangling the shoplifter. I mean, in that case, "I can't breathe" probably works.
Yeah, but she couldn't breathe because she shoplifted and then attacked him. So,
I mean, one of the funniest examples of that was when the UK and the USA went against each other in football, and the UK kneeled, but the USA didn't.
Yeah.
I was reading about that earlier today. It's just absurd. It's so comical.
You ever see what I think it was the Polish team? They decided, so they were playing, I think, England, and England knelt. And then as they did that, the Poles decided to wrap out their flags, as they do, and bring out a big flag, because all the Polish players were just standing there like, what are you doing? And the big flag came out, and it unfurled, and it was a banner that just said, "Kneel to your masters," and then there was a picture of the Polish president. I was like, okay, yeah.
Well played.
Get messed.
Yes.
Anyway, but there's obviously some other points as well, which is, immigration. So, I mean, if the UK is some like horrible place that can't stand seeing a black person for all of 5 seconds, then it would be kind of weird that they keep moving here. And it's not just them, of course. The vast majority of immigration is from Asian countries and EU and so forth. But anyway, I suppose I don't know if we can do it. I don't know if we have the technology, but can we go to the MS Paint edition, please, John? So then I can use my, there we are. We've never done this before. The show's truly interactive now, boys.
Are you going to live
Yes.
graphic this?
Yes.
This is going to be a disaster.
So I'm going to say yes for the UK. I think we're all in agreement.
Sure. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Wait,
Pretty
yes
good
to
black.
what specifically?
If you're a black guy, I would want to live in the UK.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And the way I'm going to do this is I'm thinking if you're black in America, I think you're probably going to be okay. Canada, Alaska. It's easy peasy. Let's do some Northern Ireland. I don't know.
This is actually working. Okay.
Yeah. I also just wanted to test out MS Paint because I like MS Paint. I'm just going to fill in the islands because I'm
right.
Anyway, whatever.
Welcome to the 4-hour pod stream.
Yeah. Thank you.
197 countries.
We are literally just Twitch streamers at this point playing with maps. So there we are. So I think from the data, I can definitely say that. I think the country where it was, I would not visit based on that data.
India.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, rule out Southeast Asia as well and China. I've travelled around sort of say India, Southeast Asia, and China. It is quite common to have restaurants where they simply put a sign up listing the races that they don't want crossing their threshold.
I mean, do you remember the one in China that was literally no black people allowed in the McDonald's?
Yeah, but
McDonald's USA had to intervene.
That's my point. It's common.
Yeah.
You will commonly see that around that part of the world.
Again, correct us for our ignorance as we go forward, but I can definitely say, I mean, we did do the story about China, so that was the thing. And that's grim. I think the rest of South America, I don't know if I can be even more lazy.
I've got no idea when it comes to South America.
Well, I remember seeing that data from earlier, so I'm just going to do that. There we are.
Oh, okay.
Big tick. There we are.
Right.
How about Africa? I feel like if you're black in Africa, there's no disadvantage.
Yeah, but who goes? People come from there. They don't go to there.
And the thing is, there's large areas of Africa where it's not good to be anyone.
Well, this is my thing. I mean, I thought about this question for long and hard, and I thought, okay, well, if I'm a black guy, I think the way you could rate whether it's a country that's the best to live in or not depends on just, do you get an advantage or disadvantage for being black? And I think probably let's draw a line here, like this. You got no disadvantage because, well, you're the majority, and then I don't know, the various Caribbeans. Let's just tick those, I guess. But
it started out so much more professional. But...
well, I could fill it in, but we'd be here all year. I'm just going to go to every
that
African nation.
I know the way you've opted out of putting the Cape in South Africa, which is actually quite accurate. I don't know if you did that on purpose.
That's a whole other question, I suppose.
Yes,
and also Canaries, rightful Spanish territory. What do you want? Anyway,
right.
Okay,
you've done he's done the sea.
There we are.
Oh, there we go.
Everything's better.
Back.
Everyone
anyway,
try not to make a swimming joke.
West, I don't think you have a disadvantage. That's my point. I think Kemi's probably right.
Yes.
I mean, maybe the UK is the ultimate, like...
Well, if she's wrong, she's wrong by a small degree. because it's either going to be that or one of these other green bits that you put in.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably, most of the countries, or most of this, it's neutral. It's not really a major benefit. There's not, well, maybe some of the Arabs have got different opinions. Whole other conversation to be had. Israel, I don't know, never been. So
I
also
don't think
don't want to get into an argument about Israel, because apparently when you bring up the word Israel, that just everything explodes.
So does it?
I'm just going to leave that alone.
Okay.
You never interacted with the Israeli debate.
So you just say the word Israel and it gets flagged up in an algorithm, does it? Or...
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, if you don't have an opinion on it, oh boy, a lot of people are going to try and make you have an opinion on it.
Right.
I just don't care.
Maybe in another pod we'll address that then.
Anyway, but my point being, Kemi, yeah, right, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I should have actually coloured in Africa yellow, because my point was that it's
yeah, I was thinking that.
It doesn't really matter.
Yes.
Because you're the majority.
Also, it's not going to be Japan, is it?
And
Korea. Japan and Korea are definitely out as well.
Yeah, I don't want to get
so,
into it. But,
Koreans are wonderfully racist. They really are. No, seriously. If you are traveling,
where you going with us, mate?
No, if you are traveling in Korea and you even look like you're going to talk to a Korean girl, a bunch of Korean lads will form a human chain. They will literally do that. They're just like, no.
Is that not just because of how you hit on women? I mean,
no. I haven't personally actually been to Korea. I've spoken to guys who have travelled around there, and they are just like, no, you are not coming anywhere near our women. We are staying pure.
All right, yeah, there's a proper thing in North and South Korean society. It's it's a thick concept over there. Anyway, but my point being that if you actually step back for a minute and don't just like get obsessed with, oh, I'm in England, so I'm obsessed with England. I don't know why I keep doing that. But the point being, yeah, she's right. I mean, if you wanted somewhere where you could get not only no negative aspect, but then some privileges. I mean, the West is the place to be if you're.
Oh yeah,
of course.
Yeah,
sure. And anyway, that was my point. So we'll get back to another question that comes out of that, though.
Okay.
Which is, I thought to myself, that conversation happens, as you rightly say, about every year. Someone says, it's the best country to be black, or some American politician will say.
And then a white liberal comes out and says, no, it's not.
Yeah. What's the reverse? This is where things get more edgy, I think.
Oh, you're not going to go there. You're not going to ask.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not allowed to do that, Callum.
So this is the American university over here, just writing about, white privilege and how it's so good to be white in America because, oh my God, don't you have so many privileges?
Well, unless you want to get a job in a Fortune 500 company, in which case you're basically not.
Yeah, but this is the point. It's like, here's actually the modern West, which is this. Now, this article is talking about the fact that corporate America decided to promise to hire a lot of people of color.
Yeah,
I still can't get over how they actually use that word.
It's the graphics in this article that made me laugh. We talked about this the other day. It's insane.
It's wonderful graphically. So for people listening, there's a series of stickmen that are all colored in white at the start here, and then they go on to show us, or at least I don't think. Oh,
yeah, no, keep going.
There we go.
And then segregate.
So there we are. So 6% of all of the jobs in the S&P 100 that are significant jobs, so senior roles, management professionals, went to whites in 2021 to 2022, the year after George Floyd, in which all those companies.
6% of the jobs went to whites, despite America being at least, I don't know, whatever it is, 70%
white, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. I've got a Brokenomics coming out next week with Scott Adams, who started his career in the corporate world. And on both occasions, he rose as high as he could and then got called into his boss's office and said, you're a white man, you're not going any higher up this organization.
I have personal friends who have had exactly this experience in the UK multiple times from multiple different industries as well.
Yeah.
It is extremely frustrating, to say the least. I know we try and make light of the news, and we do, but it is actually quite bad that we live in this
society. We get beaten over the head every bloody day. We don't be racist, don't be racist, don't be racist. Oh, except it's okay to be racist against white people. That's perfectly fine. We can do that.
So, I mean, here we have a further breakdown as they make it here. And the disproportionality, of course, blacks make up 13% of the American population. 23% of the senior roles went to them in 2021. Now, this at least could make, it's still, again, obvious case of systemic discrimination. But what's interesting is you could make the argument, because they do at the start of this, that the reason for all of this in that period was, of course, holy George Floyd. And therefore we must, hire black people, not because they have the right qualifications. In fact, I literally don't care. I just want a black woman, as, Joe Biden did.
So, you know what this is going to give us? And I'm not being racist here. It is going to give us a crisis of competency. Because, and I'm not making a race-based point. It is simply the moment you start hiring on any other criteria than merit and competence, you will by definition have a competency crisis. It's only a question of how bad this competency crisis gets.
Mm-hmm.
So these Fortune 500 companies or whatever it is, I would say it's a good time to be an up and coming disruptor in these markets.
For sure. Jordan Peterson's made this point many a time about sex-based discrimination. So hiring women just because you want women, well, then you're going to have a crisis of competence in the same way, as he points out. That, well, there's only a pool of competent people, and if you then decide to exclude competent people because they're white or men, well, then you end up with
selecting on any other criteria than competence.
Yeah. And this article just goes on to explain it, and you can see like the percentages here for the executives, managers, professionals. And
absurd. This is so racist.
What's weird about this? Like, I mean, this is sort of the norm for the West at this point, which is if you are white, you are going to lose out on professional, managerial, or executive jobs because of your skin tone. The lower points are interesting, though. Less senior roles, sales, laborers, service workers, and others. The number of jobs in the S&P 100 companies, it was minus 18.8 thousand white people.
So they were actually shown out the door.
At the end of the year, 18,000 white people were no longer working there as an accurate number.
Wow.
And instead were replaced with, other people. And at every other level, they were disproportionately discriminated
all four other categories other than white, all of them saw more increase in the number of white guys who were booted.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's American life for you being white, and not to mention just the general hell world that is America at this point. I mean, Amy Gallagher pointing this out, and it's just so true. For people listening, it's the intersectional pride flag with McDonald's logos.
And as I always point out, pride flags are basically advertising how people come. So it's like, would you like a burger? And here's some cum advertising.
Cum burger.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not shopping here again.
Yes.
Anyway, so back to the maps. Anyway, why do I keep saying anyway? I need to stop doing that. Here's a map.
Yep.
Isn't it an advantage to be white in America? I'm going to go no.
No.
I mean, by that they are alone.
Definitely not.
The stories we've covered endlessly, no.
No.
Greenland? I don't know. Is an advantage in any of these countries? Definitely not Germany. They discriminate against whites, as far as I'm aware. Probably Sweden, Norway. Maybe Denmark's normal now.
Yeah.
Hard to tell. And again, correct our ignorance about the world as we do. But I'm gonna say.
This is a good question. I can't answer this one
because you go to Eastern Europe, and I'm.
Oh yeah.
Again, correct my ignorance, but I'm pretty sure I can do this, like neutral for basically all of. I don't know, some people are gonna hate me calling these countries Eastern Europe, but whatever.
Yeah, maybe some of those countries are green.
But I don't think it's a positive because it's just the norm.
There's no advantage. Suggests that it's like advantageous instead of just neutral. I think neutral is right. I don't think I don't think you could highlight a single country as green though.
I'm trying to
name it. Where?
I'm going to say Austria's yellow, but I don't know. Italians, I mean, they're not white, but still, I mean, you're fine to be there and be white. Going to go Portugal. I mean, again, I'm kind of showing my ignorance at some point where I'm just like, I don't know, yellow.
There must be a country somewhere where it's advanced.
I mean, they're just quickly colouring Crimea before people shoot me.
And for what it's worth, I don't even necessarily want it to be an advantage to be white. I just want neutral.
Yeah, but I'd like the bit that I live in to be neutral, at least.
Yeah.
Now, if we're talking about okay, so that's race. If we're talking about ethnicity, like in England, it should be, to a certain extent, an advantage to be English. I don't think that's that unreasonable.
It should at a minimum be an advantage to be subsumed in the culture and having grown up in the culture.
Yeah.
But no, it should also be but it should, like I say, it should be at least neutral racially.
So there's also a weird aspect. I mean, as we start to get away from Europe, I mean, I don't really know what to do with these ones, so I'm just going to leave them for now. Yeah. But as we start to get away from Europe, I mean, one of the weird things I've had personally when traveling in Afghanistan, for example, is that you think you've got this privilege in the sense of the way people portray it is that, like, if you're a white man in a poor brown country, like, you will have some kind of privilege. People will treat you better because they think you've got money. Now, that's true, but at the same time...
It's a mixed bag.
They might kidnap you because you're white, therefore you're worth money.
Yeah.
So I kind of think the special treatment I got in Afghanistan to being looked at as a foreigner was not as good as the threat of kidnap. So I'm going to go with no for the various nations which that's a possibility. So there we are. That's them done. I think Libya, definitely.
All of the Middle East, I mean, there's lots of white guys who go out there and earn well, but
there's no real privilege. Yeah, like, you're better off being Arab in the Middle East, probably.
Yeah, but the moment you get into like a traffic accident or something like that, it's all downstream for you. I mean, even if it's the other guy's fault.
And then, I mean, about Africa, I mean, I don't really know what to say.
I hear South Africa's pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not an advantage, like, anywhere here. See if I can make the size bigger.
Do you want to make the argument there's an advantage anywhere on the continent?
I heard good things about Malawi sometimes. So maybe Malawi is the little green dot.
So that's a possible.
That's literally just a guy I met once. If you're watching, very cool guy. He just told me some stories about, because of course they have Zimbabwe next to them, who did the exact opposite of the white man's the devil. When they had their revolution.
Oh, they should come in.
Well, Malawi just got a guy in charge who was educated in London.
Yep.
He's a black guy who became the dictator. And then immediately he built a Eton of Africa, is what he called it, and then made a promise to the black parents and black students who were going to attend the Eton of Africa that none of the teachers would be black. Which was pretty weird.
I'm curious as to whether the lights stay on in that country.
I don't know. I don't know enough about Malawi, but I just found it. I remember him telling me this story, and I was just like, okay, so maybe there's an advantage being white there because you're probably going to get better treatment by the state because they're just institutionally racist, at least at that point back in the day. Don't know about now. No idea. That's just a story I've been told. As for any of this, I don't really see any positive. I mean, more likely to just get in trouble. I mean, Miles had problems, so there's that.
Have you spoken to him?
I can't talk about it.
No,
so.
I didn't think you'd be able to. Yeah.
Gotta be there. I'm trying to think, where can we just color in green? Because, I mean, China? What do we think about China? No?
It's
negative?
It's a Han supremacy.
Okay. All right. John, got anything to say? He was giving me advice earlier about there is some privileges. Yeah. So he's telling me if you go to Thailand and whatnot and you've got money, I mean, there are...
Well, yeah. All the time you've got money. Not if you get into it, like I say, I know people who've lived and worked out there, and the moment you get into a traffic accident or there's any sort of a dispute or anything like that, you go straight to the bottom of the pile again.
Just because you're not local? John's just whispering to us, being like, no, just bribe them.
Right. John, they can't hear you. So our producer is shouting in the ear, no, it's all right, you just bribe them. And he's like, yes, but...
You got to get used to it.
I know it's the culture, John. I know.
But anyway, my point being, I mean, this was just a bit of fun, and also I just wanted to test out if Microsoft Paint worked. I don't know what I'm going to do with this in future, but we'll figure it out, I suppose. There we are. That's anyway, let's get off screen. My point being,
you sure you don't want to save it? Oh,
my point being, which is, you see that come up every couple of years or every year, as you rightly say. This is the best country in the world to be black or brown or whatever else, and no one has ever actually sat down and thought about that question publicly. Of well, where's the best country to be white? And I really don't think there is one in Europe. I'm hard pressed to know anywhere in the world where it is.
Maybe somebody in the comments will figure it out, but
it's certainly not a currency you can use in the West.
It's not obvious to me.
Yeah, and we've done that zoom out before for looking at it from a black perspective, but I've never done one from the white perspective and actually thought for a minute, and I can't think of one. So let us know in the comments and let us know what we got wrong. And I hope that went well.
Yes.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Lads Hours, this one on the Reddit question. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.